Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. In our top story, FEMA informed members of the business community today that if their households and their business were affected by Hurricanes Irma and Maria, they have programs that can aid in getting them back on their feet. Now, along with information provided from FEMA, the Small Business Administration provided further information on small interest disaster loans that can propel the recovery of businesses in the territory. Here's more from News 2's Stephanie Brown.
The Federal Emergency Management Agency, along with the Small Business Administration representatives, met with local business owners at the 1F Louis Hospital's Beanie and Martha Foundation Conference Center to further describe programs and loans that are available to individuals whose necessary expenses and needs cannot be met through insurance. Sanaa Joseph Smith is the owner of CHOP, a large restaurant in a popular retail location, and Hurricane Irma and Maria has posed challenges for her business.
A ton of staff that felt the need to either move to the States to get their families settled and secured, especially if they had younger children and damaged homes. So that's been a huge issue.
The curfew hours that are currently set on St. Croix between the hours of 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. has hindered Smith's dinner services, which bring in additional revenues for her business. And to make up for the losses, she is contemplating a disaster SBA loan.
For businesses, we're loaning up to $2 million for your uninsured losses. Once again, for up to 30 years. The interest rate's a little bit higher. They're as low as 3.305%.
For individuals who may have become unemployed as a result of Hurricane Irma and Maria, FEMA assistance programs may be available for you.
If you don't qualify for your regular unemployment assistance, you get kicked over to what they call the disaster unemployment assistance. The first step is to see if you qualify for your regular unemployment because you were off work due to the storm, didn't have access to get to work, or your place of business or your job was shut down due to power outage or whatnot.
And as public schools continue to operate under split sessions and parents head back to work, child care costs may also be available for children under the age of 13.
When you register for FEMA, if you express that you have additional child care expenses above and beyond what you paid before, you may be eligible for reimbursement for some of those additional expenses up to a certain amount.
For News 2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
Now, the St. Croix business community was given an update about the communication challenges in the island by VIA's CEO Alvaro Pilar. Pilar informed a large crowd of business owners that VIA is working diligently to alleviate the communication disruptions affecting commerce on the island as well. He encourages the owners to be patient as VIA works to reinstate services. Here's more from his statement.
First of all, I want to thank you, and I want to be with you all the way through the hurricanes. So we had 2 networks to fix on the wireless side, plus everything that we had to fix on the wireline side. What we decided to do is that we were going to do a 3rd network that was going to be the VIA network. That network was going to be a lot larger. It was going to have a better coverage. It was going to have faster speeds. And this is what we just turned up in St. Thomas. That network was planned to be here first in St. Croix. But unfortunately, all this was supposed to happen in October, at the end of October. We had to speed everything because we suddenly had 3 networks that were damaged, but the best one to improve was going to be Ericsson. We have people here from Ericsson, we have crews here that are working on the network, but since St. Thomas was doing a lot worse and communications-wise, we had to do that. We did St. Thomas first, and now we're doing St. Croix. At the same time, we have to get the MiFi's here. Now, we ordered those are Alcatel. Alcatel is a French company. It's a French product. Was built in Mexico. When Mexico had the earthquake, the supply of those products got damaged. So now we have to wait for some more to come from China. We ordered 20,000 more. To rebuild the network, we're working with WAPA, okay? Not only because we need power, and we need customers to have power in order for them to use the services at home, but also because we need to go behind the poles. Last night, we got a route of fiber cut going to Fredericksburg. So this morning, first band went off, Kmart went off, everybody that we had already worked on, we lost them. And that's 5 days of work. We lost 5 days of work with somebody with something cutting the fiber, okay? And it doesn't matter how many people I put in working. It's amazing that in 3 seconds, we can lose the service. Something that took us 100 hours to redo. Just think that whatever you cut out there, not only is because it's dangerous for you, but you could affect somebody's service, okay? So let's be patient.
Members of the 32nd Legislature, led by Senate President Myron Jackson, they participated in a meeting with the delegate to Congress at the Capitol building, Stacey Plaskett. They talked about the advancement of the territory for post-hurricane recovery efforts and offered some updates regarding ongoing federal assistance and challenges experienced with current initiatives. She says $36 billion in disaster relief assistance was approved by the House of Representatives, and that was forwarded to the Senate to be voted on this week in Washington, D.C. She said there is $16 billion allocated for debt forgiveness and flood insurance from the National Flood Program, $18.7 billion from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and out of that, $4.9 million is allocated for operating expenses and loss of revenues specific to the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Senator Jackson shared the update. The Department of Property and Procurement sent a representative to do some mold remediation at various entities. However, to date, the government of the VI has not signed contracts, he said, for mold remediation projects. He stated that the Capitol building and the St. John Legislative Annex is currently open to the public to meet with federal assistance programs in order to aid residents who need post-hurricane help. In addition to homes and businesses, Hurricanes Irma and Maria negatively impacted the legislature of the VI. There were storm damages to the legislature in the St. Thomas St. John district. Both buildings should be checked for mold, especially behind the wall. The Fritz Lowett's building on St. Croix was also affected, and employees must relocate due to environmental and health concerns. In response to questions pertaining to how the delegate could offer assistance, Delegate Plaskett requested that the 32nd Legislature make recommendations on the specific needs of the territory, and she will then submit them to Congress for further consideration. Well, Governor Kenneth Mapp on Monday, as we shared, announced the creation of an expert advisory committee to help guide restructuring and resiliency efforts in the U.S. VI in the wake of the hurricanes. The VI Hurricane and Resiliency Advocacy Group, Advisory Group, under the Office of the Governor includes local officials, community members, as well as business and environmental experts, as well as thought leaders from around the United States. Here's more. Governor Kenneth Mapp on Monday announced the creation of an expert advisory committee to help guide reconstruction and resiliency efforts in the U.S. VI. Under the governor's direction, the group will perform a quantitative assessment of the hurricane damage.
The committee will also focus on the ongoing planning, coordination, and implementation of the U.S. VI's response and recovery efforts across the human services, infrastructure, housing, and economic sectors. The development of a centralized process to attract, coordinate, and leverage federal, private sector, and philanthropic funding and volunteer efforts.
He says the team will also outline risks facing the U.S. VI from potential future natural hazards looking ahead 30 years.
The development and implementation of a coordinated economic recovery plan with a particular focus on the tourism industry and all related services, tracking and monitoring distribution and spending of federal disaster assistance funding.
They will also set the course for the U.S. VI's long-term security and economic recovery, with a special focus on making the territory's critical infrastructure, homes and businesses more resilient to future storms and other natural disasters.
We're bringing together experts from many disciplines to help the U.S. Virgin Islands build back as fast and as smart as possible to enhance the long-term resiliency and economic health of our islands, while protecting our communities from future storms. The members of the advisory committee care deeply about our territory and will work hard alongside us to rebuild stronger.
Members include Clifford Graham, the president and CEO of the West Indian Company Port Facilities at Havenside Mall. He will serve as chairman of the group.
I am tremendously appreciative and encouraged by the level of assistance and cooperation we have received.
And here are the other members. Dr. Jerome Adams, who's the United States Surgeon General. Dr. Adams is an anesthesiologist and a Vice Admiral in the U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps. Elizabeth Armstrong, who is the General Manager of the Buccaneer Hotel on St. Croix, which her family has owned and operated since 1947. Valdemar Collins, who is the Commissioner for the U.S. VI Department of Finance and Executive Director of the Virgin Islands Public Finance Authority. Vivek Daswani, who is the President and owner of Royal Caribbean. Judith Ank, who's the visiting scholar at Pace University. Ms. Ank brings more than 37 years of experience in the environmental field, most recently as a former EPA Region 2 administrator. Andrew Farkas, founder, chairman, and CEO of Island Capital Groups. Eugene Farrell, who's the chief of staff to Governor Kenneth Mapp. Novell Francis Jr., who's the senator, legislature of the Virgin Islands. He's serving his second term representing the St. Croix district. Darrell Griffith, acting executive director and chief financial officer for the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority. Anthony Hurley, associate managing director with Witt O'Brien's, which is an emergency and security risk management firm. Hans Lowetz, president of Annalee Farms, Inc. John McInnes III, director of the Kenny Chesney Foundation and CEO of McInnes Industries. Beverly Nicholson Doty, who's the Commissioner of Tourism for the USVI. Basil Otley, Director of Policy for the Office of Insular Affairs within the U.S. Department of the Interior. Jerry Purvis, Individual Assistance Branch Director. Jerry Purvis has worked with the Federal Emergency Management Agency for nearly 15 years. Marjorie Roberts, who's the head of Marjorie Rawls Roberts PC, a law firm specializing in tax, corporate securities, estate planning, and business law. Harriet Tredgenan, immediate past principal, deputy assistant secretary of the Office of Community Planning and Development at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. We'll turn our attention over to Puerto Rico. CNN's Bill Ware visits Utuado, Puerto Rico, where people are rationing crackers and relying heavily on rainwater to eat and drink after Hurricane Maria devastated the island. Here's more.
Beside a highway in Utuado, this is the most dependable utility in rural Puerto Rico these days. A pipe tapped into a mountain spring is now the watering hole for a community of over 30,000. It's a natural spring.
It's a natural spring. It's always here.
And are you boiling it or you drink it straight?
You can drink it straight. This is cleaner than the water you get from the Department of Water Resources.
Okay, well that's good. You've got that.
This is cleaner than that.
How's everything else in life? You got enough food, power? Awful.
Awful. There's people that have a shortage of food. The National Guard is not working up to the way it should be. They're all just standing there doing nothing. No electricity, no water for the city. It's going to take like about maybe 6-7 months for anything to happen here.
While safe from coastal storm surges, Maria brought hellish mudslides to mountain towns like this, cutting off families for days and forcing desperate decision-making. Do you burn precious fuel searching for supplies or stay put and pray for help? Lydia has 2 cars with no gas, 2 grandkids to keep alive on a ration of crackers. With no way to reach that highway pipe, they drink rainwater. No water, no food, she tells me. It's nobody's fault, it's the weather. You have to go on. I can tell the anxiety, I can tell my heart breaks for you. What worries me the most is my family doesn't know how we're doing, she says. We don't have cell phone connection.
Keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. According to the numbers, we can see the Dow up 160, NASDAQ and S&P up slight. Coming up on NEWS2, we hear from WAPA, recovery updates, as well as much more. Stick around, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, as we shared, many off-island linemen are busy assisting the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority with repairing and installing the power lines, and by the end of the month, More than 500 linemen are expected to be working on rebuilding the U.S. Virgin Islands power distribution system. The goal is to have power restored to more than 90% of the homes and businesses on all 4 Virgin Islands before Christmas. Now, Governor Mapp shared that he had also requested that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers work in the territory be expanded to include a complete assessment of the entire power generation system to include the cost of burying lines. Meanwhile, here's the latest on the restoration efforts from John Grill.
Restoration and reconstruction work continued by WAPA Line Department personnel, as well as on-island and off-island contractors in both districts on Tuesday. On St. John, crews continued efforts to prepare the Cruz Bay area for power restoration. Work focused on the area surrounding the St. John Fire Station and the potable water standpipe. On St. Croix, restoration work included planting new poles on the paths of feeders 1A and 2A, while cleanup crews continued clearing school campuses of hurricane debris. There was also reconstruction and cleanup work carried out along feeder 8B in Hannah's Rest, as well as on feeders 6A and 6B. On St. Thomas, crews worked in Lindbergh Bay and along the highway from Petros Plaza towards the Adelita Cancroin Junior High School. Portions of feeder 7A were energized, as were the Departments of Tourism and Finance office buildings. Crews from Western Area Power Administration made additional progress on a transmission feeder that will facilitate electrical service being restored to the WAPA East End substation over the next few days. This will allow for subsequent service restoration to the Red Hook and Nazareth areas and also St. John. WAPA personnel has removed electrical meters at locations where damage was apparent to either an electrical meter base and or a weatherhead. In these instances, the customer is responsible for all repairs. WAPA will not reinstall meters until repairs are certified by a licensed electrician. Home and business owners are advised to make repairs to their damaged weatherheads and or meter bases as soon as possible. Once crews have reached your neighborhood, those customers who have not had their weatherhead or meter base repaired will not have service immediately restored.
Thanks for that update, John. Well, you're reminded that you can sign up for free temporary roofing repairs to homes through Operation Blue Roof on St. Thomas and St. John. Operation Blue Roof is funded through the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and it is managed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Be sure to tune in on tomorrow's newscast. We'll have a little more information on this. Now, the Corps will provide temporary repairs to roofs damaged by Hurricanes Irma and Maria, and the contractors will install the temporary roof covering at no cost to you. To get assistance, homeowners must first sign a right of entry, ROE, which allows the Corps to staff to access private property and assess roof damage. The ROE allows Corps contractors to install the fiber reinforced plastic sheeting. Now, you can visit an ROE center to get more information, verify eligibility, and these are the locations right there. You can sign up. That's Department of Public Works, Department of Health, the 22 Fire Station, Government Employees Retirement System, and the Legislature Annex in Cruz Bay, St. John.
This year is to provide temporary roofs to people whose homes have been damaged by the hurricanes. We have collection centers throughout the island at the DPW, at the Department of Health, at the 22 Fire Station, and also at the Government Employees Retirement System building, which is where we are today. So homeowners just need to come to one of the collection centers and apply for an assessment to be done, and they do that by filling out a right of entry form that gives us permission to come to their house and assess their roof to see if it qualifies for a temporary blue roof. We have approximately 1,900 applications in so far, and we've gone out and assessed approximately 1,500 of those so far, and about 400 blue roofs have been installed so far.
And again, be sure to tune in. We'll have more information on that. Well, just a quick note to our viewers. In addition to the community, we here at NEWS2 are also in hurricane recovery mode, and we are adapting to some technicalities behind the scenes in order to get the job done. So please bear with us. We have therefore tailored our newscast format in order to get as much information as possible out to residents, and we will continue to do so as we are all on that road to recovery. Thanks as always for your support and understanding in these trying times. Now you can always inbox us with information on Facebook with any news tips, and be sure to follow us. Continue to follow us on Facebook and YouTube for all the latest as we continue to provide you with all the hurricane recovery information. Well, the Department of Health, they held a free outreach clinic today at the 1F Louis Hospital on St. Croix. They were offering some free flu shots and insulin offered to the public. Now, this Friday on the island of St. Thomas, the Department of Health will be having their clinic in the Fort Christian parking lot from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So be sure to head out there. Infant and toddler kits, insect repellents, and more will be given out. Health screenings will also be available with their mobile medical van. Here's more.
Good afternoon. I'm Nicole Tyson, Director of Public Relations for the Department of Health, and today we are here at 1F Louis Hospital providing various services. So we're providing free insulin, free tetanus shots, and free flu shots. And here to my right, you can see we have registration, and then we have where our nurses are providing the tetanus and the flu shots, and in the back, we're having the insulin distributed. And so far, we have provided approximately 100 individuals on St. Croix with either insulin, tetanus shots, or flu shots. And so we're very grateful to be able to do so from donations we've received, and the partnership with the hospital has been fantastic. And so we're doing this up until 3 p.m. today. So anyone that needs free insulin can come on down, and we'll be happy to distribute that to them. And individuals in the community have been taking advantage of getting their flu shots and also preventing any sickness with getting their tetanus shots. On Friday, we're going to be providing a Department of Health mini health fair at Plaza West. And that's going to be on St. Croix. And so all of our clinics will be there providing various services. Our mental health services will be there, community health services, family planning will be providing breast exams. Our maternal and child health clinic will be distributing infant and toddler kits. And so we encourage everyone on St. Croix, especially on the west side, to come on down on Friday to Plaza West, and you will be able to get many services many services from the Department of Health, and it's going to be all free.
Okay, thanks for that update, Nicole. Well, the governor announced that schools on St. Croix are expected to open on Monday, October 23rd, which is 1 week later than originally planned. Some schools in St. Croix will be merged. Now, the St. Croix community will be receiving some further updates on the schools, to include final decisions on split session and teacher report times. The Office of the Insular Superintendent, St. Croix District, will be hosting some meetings for teachers, paraprofessionals, and administrators. That's on Thursday, October 19th, in the Juanita Gardin Elementary School's auditorium. Now, the schedule is as follows, as you can see: 9 a.m., Alternative Education, Juanita Gardin and Pearl B. Lawson. 10, it's at John H. Woodson, Elena Christian and Central High. 11, YRC, Adult Education, Arthur Richards and St. Croix Educational Complex. 12, it's the Ricardo Richards and Lou Muckle, Alfredo Andrews and Eulalie Rivera at 1 and 2 p.m., Alexander Henderson and Claudio Marco. In addition, on Thursday at 10 a.m., there will be a meeting for all school counselors in the Juanita Gardin Library. Well, we say thank you and farewell after 30 days of assisting and augmenting the hospital on St. Thomas and its staff. 11 soldiers had to head home to continue their career progression. Soldiers assigned to 602nd Area Support Medical Company, 261st Multifunctional Medical Battalion, 44th Medical Brigade. They provided medical support to Schneider Regional Medical Center in St. Thomas after Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Maria. They assisted the hospital with a health fair. They even took some time out to help out a sister unit on St. Croix. Now, the U.S. military kept up round-the-clock missions to send aircraft, troops, food, and supplies to Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands as the devastated region struggles to recover from the hurricanes. Many flights were scheduled as part of a 24-hour operation to deliver food, water, medical supplies, communication support, and power generating equipment. The operations included search and rescue efforts, distribution of supplies, and bringing power back up at the hospitals, airports, ports, and other facilities. We want to say, job well done. Stick around, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.
Well, taking a look at our current weather, our satellite here, we see a lot of deep moisture across much of the Caribbean, really held off towards the south of the islands. This tropical wave continuing to track westward, and that means we're going to be drying out as we move forward. Taking a closer look, you can really see those spotty pop-up showers well off towards our south, moving westward past Puerto Rico throughout the rest of this evening and into tonight. So we're looking at partly cloudy skies across the islands, 79 degrees for us here. Not too bad. And then we move into tomorrow, and it's mostly sunny. That's right. The sunshine returns, a little bit breezy, 87 degrees. We see a lot of dry air moving in behind this tropical wave, and that's pretty much the story across the entire islands here. So St. Thomas, 87 as well. We'll have a breezy day out there, 89 into St. Croix. Plenty of sunshine there. We take a look at our forecast for your Marines. Small craft warning still going to be in effect. You can see our winds out on the Atlantic coming out of the east still, 15 to 20 knots. So a little bit choppy out there. Waves 3 to 5 feet, something to pay attention to. And then also on the Caribbean side, we're looking at a small craft using caution. Waves 5 to 7 feet. So a little bit more tossing and turning out there. Winds out of the east 15 to 20 knots. Definitely something to be paying attention to if you are planning to get out on the waters. Just be sure to use extreme caution. A look at our extended forecast. Well, things are cooling down just a couple of degrees as we head into this weekend. We are looking at dry weather really in through the end of this week. Mostly sunny skies, so good beach days ahead. However, as we head into Saturday and Sunday, the possibility of a shower will be in store for us, and then we'll start to see more pronounced moisture moving into early next week. Back to you.
Thanks for that. Time for our News 2 weather picture there. Good job by Jaden Francis, second grader representing the E. Benjamin Oliver Elementary School. Beautiful colors, sunshine, greenery, and outdoor fun. Jaden, thank you for that. Send us your News 2 weather picture to the address right there on the screen, and be sure to tune in to see it right here on News 2. That is all for this edition. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next time.